before in history has so much meant so little to so many. AD on the radio.
So, I have to say, some of the most interesting things, some of the most interesting, informative, and productive things that have ever happened to me have happened since I started doing this show a couple of years ago. And these things have happened to me. I feel like I've grown from them infinitely when people have disagreed with me. There are times where I'm going to say some stuff that doesn't jive too well with you. And I almost love nothing more that has come from this show than the experience of not being challenged, but being brought up to speed on some stuff by people that think differently than me. And when I say brought up to speed, I mean being filled in on other people's experiences. Love it. It's the best. We just got a new radio station down the hall, new hip-hop station. And I am besties with everybody that works there. We get along great. We have a blasty blast. It's a good time. They don't know a thing about me. I don't know a thing about them. And I find them to be so much more interesting than everybody I work with in the world of rock and alternative music. Why? I know that stuff. I know all their stories. The people that I've been working with for years on end, kind of dull. Not because they're dull people, but because I know about that. Their experience is similar to mine. We all lead a certain lifestyle. We're all brought up on certain things. We all understand certain touchstones about the world of rock and alternative music. And that's great. And that's really important. We all hold that very close to our hearts. But I don't need somebody that I work with to tell me about Metallica. I know this stuff. However, I'm not up on all these things that the hip-hop station is doing, so I spend an inordinate amount of time down the hall chit-chatting with them, just trying to understand a little bit more of their world. It's so enriching. It's so rewarding to understand something today that you didn't yesterday. Does it mean I want to go on the air and start playing Young Jeezy records? No, it does not. But it does mean that I think I'm a richer person for it. I think some of the folks that work at that station would tell you the same thing as well. Same deal in society, in the world of politics. And I'm so proud. I'm so proud of some of the listeners we have to this show. Why? Well, ever since we started doing this punk rock politics segment, where we've had musicians on, in the run-up to the election, we're trying to speak to as many musicians as possible about their take on the world, on society, on politics, on the upcoming election. And we do this. It's been tough getting some musicians on because they think, oh, well, hold on, iHeartRadio, are we walking into a gotcha situation? Are they about to hear what we believe and then tell us we're an idiot, then turn our mic off? No. The idea is to try and understand why people think what they think. Know what they think and understand how they got there. Don't have to agree with it. But we become infinitely richer when we have an understanding of it. And in a world of politics that, especially in this last couple of months before the election, seeks to divide all of us, the expression divide and conquer exists for a reason. We've made it our personal mission to try and bridge the gap of understanding of humanity. I'm so proud of some of our listeners because we get people from either side of the fence. I love that and I appreciate that. But we've had some stuff. We've had some people, some listeners who fall so far to the right that it fills me to the point of bursting with pride when we have someone on the show and they can listen to them and not agree with them, but manage to be entertained and accept them. It seems like such a small thing. Well, I don't agree with them, but, they're fine. They're good people. Seems like such an infinitely basic, stupid, human, kindergarten level thing to understand. You don't have to agree with them, but, they're people too. Some we're all taught by the time we're 5, hopefully. easy stuff. Yet it seems to have been forgotten. It seems to have been forgotten so much and so often. And because some of the most enriching experiences I've ever had since starting the show have been with people that disagree with me, I would urge you, if you hear someone on this show, me, Funkhauser, a guest, that you disagree with, lean in and listen closer. Too much agreement kills a conversation. Eldridge Cleaver. Sam Firestein, award-winning storyteller, is here on the show. Thank you so much for hanging out.
Real radio. 104.1. Where the left and right come together for fundamental truths. AD on the radio, on Twitter at ADSXE.
Do what I want, when I want, how I want. Every day you're going and working, running that rat race, that pace and that place will leave a bad taste for anyone, everyone working day after day.
You know, something very interesting happened the other day. It points out a level of hypocrisy that I never gave any thought to whatsoever. And it speaks to my experience and your experience not being the same as somebody else's, if this has never occurred to you. And it never occurred to me. Why? I guess because it just wouldn't. Never been an exotic dancer myself. You might have experience with that, and you might have experience with the slings and arrows of criticism that come with making that your living. But it never once occurred to me that this was a thing. But you know what? It seems shockingly obvious now. Amber Rose, Kanye's girlfriend back in the day, remarkably easy on the eyes and stacked in all the right places. Amber Rose would like to know why Channing Tatum never gets called out for being a former stripper the way she was. Oh my gosh, provocative and well, it makes me think of her stripping. Hold on a second. There it is. And I'm sure if you're a female, you're now thinking of Channing Tatum doing the same thing. So what's good for the goose is good for the gander. But it raises some interesting questions. And if we have time, we'll get to that a little later on in the show today. We have been joined by award-winning storyteller Sam Firestein, who is here to regale us with a tale of a dysfunctional love story. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes.
I just love when Sam comes in.
I like to call it anti-functional.
Anti-functional. I love when Sam comes in, too. It's entirely less work for us.
Put our feet up.
Yeah, we can put our feet up. You get
just
segment
put some
3.
shoes on, Funk.
Hey, it's fine. It's fine.
Hey, do you guys let me ask you this. When it comes to nails, fingers and toenails.
Yes.
How do you deal with those things? How does that?
Well, I'm already nauseous just at the subject.
I can't talk about it. He'll puke on me because mine's gross. I have gross stories.
Really? What do you do?
I bite my fingernails. And
I bite my fingernails as well. I don't think that's that gross. It depends on if you're one of those people that bites them down to the bloody nub. I did last night watching the Mets game. That's for freaking sure. But generally speaking, I've held my fingernails up to girls that get manicures on the regular and be like, you never would guess that I bite them. They're like, no, it's remarkably good. Do you file them too? I'm like, no, I've just over the years gotten really good at biting my nails. I don't think it's that disgusting. Now, what you do with the nails that you bite?
I cut my nails in the dark. I can't look at this stuff. It's disgusting.
Are you skeeved by nails in general?
You know what? It's like when you're in a hotel room somewhere, right? And everything's great and it's really clean, and then you walk in to use the bathroom, and then there's that last guest's fingernail just sitting there, maybe with a little bit of hair too, and it ruins everything.
But that's somebody
really
else's.
Because then it's like, what else did they miss?
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Like, this is clean-ish. It's not clean. And it's a fingernail.
Yeah.
And, fingernails are always evidence that they use in, murders. And it goes nowhere good.
But, are you skeeved by your... Because I know some people that, don't like feet to the point where they don't like their own feet. They just... I don't want to be near them. They always wear socks. Or, feet are disgusting.
Oh, no. I'll suck your toe in the right moment, but...
No, you won't.
Come here.
Have you? Well, hold on.
That's how I get myself on the radio every couple of months.
let's approach this one delicately. When it comes to the sucking of toes, you ever had this done to you, or do you do this to people that you are romantically involved with? Has this been a thing for? Because I've heard of it, never partaken, no real desire to partake. I mean, I'm of the opinion that if you're with someone, you should be all in, and you know, if that's what they want, then that's what you should do. You know, up to a point. Obviously, you don't want to compromise yourself too badly, but generally speaking, yeah, if you're willing to put that there, then they should be able to put a toe in your mouth.
Well, not like some hippie girl you meet at Burning Man. I mean, that would just be disgusting to put that
yes,
paw in your mouth. But, you know, it just depends on who it is and where it's coming from.
Oh, now I'm picturing girls with shockingly hairy feet at Burning Man.
And calluses and, like, you know,
bunions.
Bits of just the history of all of their, you know, dead shows that they've been to, just all there under the toenail. No, that's not the toe you want.
But let's for the sake of me managing to keep my breakfast down, assume cleanliness in this situation. Have either of you ever? Has that been a thing for either of you?
It comes and goes in and out of the rotation.
Funkhauser?
I'm with Sam. Yeah.
So it comes and goes in and out of the rotation. Are you a receiver of toe-related pleasure, or are you a giver?
Are you writing my Match profile right now?
Yeah. Seriously, like which end are you guys on in this equation?
Both. Yep. It's a give and take kind of situation.
This got extraordinarily uncomfortable.
Well, it's more
really
like
fast.
a player one, player two situation. I wouldn't say give and take.
So, like, if someone indulges you, you feel like you should indulge them?
Who, me?
Yeah.
No, I think it's player one, player two.
What's that
You
mean?
don't
What does
have-
that mean,
you don't-
nerd?
You know,
Good God. You know what? Right there, it's like if he's sucking any toe, it's his own. Because if you're going to equate this to video games, there is definitely the only other person involved is on a headset like in Europe, and it's a 12-year-old boy that he's losing to like Call of Duty on.
That's wow. Good thing we're doing something else next. Sam, anti-functional love story directly ahead. Thank you so much for joining me. Unclean.
Sunshine coming our way. It's gonna change your fit today. It's gonna get in the way of my perfect day. Woke up about 10 with puppies in my face, saying Dad gotta join the human race. Time for a yawn and a stretch and a walk, you see.
It's okay to disagree. It's not okay to be understimulated.
Well, I was just thinking that.
This is KPRC 950.
Don't get the blues, get all the news. We mean all of yous, guys out there in Radio Land. All aboard!
He's back. AD on the radio.
Give it up, yeah. Give it up, yeah. Bring this on, come on.
So we love days like today. Why? Because we have been joined by award-winning storyteller Sam Firestein, who is here today to tell us a tale of an anti-functional love story. You ready, Sam?
Yeah. Anything to get away from that last conversation.
Yes, yeah. Please take it away.
So one night, a couple of months before my 23rd birthday, I was at dinner and I go to take a bite of food and the sound of wood breaking just erupted out of my face. It was horrible. Like, it just came like out of my face. And I found out later that it was the sound of my jaw ripping out a socket, which is a thing. It turns out like that actually happens. And I mean, it was just searing, horrible pain, right? And my face, it's like literally dislocated. And my friends were like, dude, we've got to get you to the hospital, man. And then my buddies, you know, because they're no help, they're like, oh, bro, they're going to just, you know, drug you up and then they're going to snap it back into place like they do like a hip. And it's never talk to your friends about these things. Which it turned out like that is not what they do when your jaw rips out of socket, because it turns out that would have been way too humane and cost effective. Instead, I got sent to a specialist, which it also begs the question. It's like, who do you go to when your face rips apart? Right? Like, who is the doctor. And I'll tell you, it is a maxillofacial dentio-orthopedist musculoskeletal specialist. That's who you see. And let me just tell you this about medicine. The longer and more obscure the doctor's title is, the worse your diagnosis is going to be. It was awful. And this character is staring into my dislocated face, and he goes, I'm going to need to run some tests. And by tests, it was 2 or 3 months of impressions, molds, x-rays, MRIs, CAT scans, laser-sighted mapping. Literally every millimeter of my head was measured and calibrated. And at the end of all of it, like at the end of just months of this nightmare, we're sitting in his office, and this guy, he's got a picture of my face, and it's dissected by graph lines. And he's got a little pointer, right? And he's going, so it's this area right here is, this is the problem area. It's genetically defective. And I'm like, this area is my face. Like, like my face is genetically defective? And yes, that is exactly what he was telling me. And then he says to me, he goes, to correct it, in the first year, you'll wear a splint. Year. This guy is talking about treatment in terms of years. And in the first year, I get to wear a splint on my face. And then he goes, and in the second year, you'll get braces. Oh, this is good. Because the way it's timing out, it's like I'm going to be in my mid-20s wearing like these big silver railroad tracks like on my face, right? Like, and it's just going, and then, and it just gets better. Because he goes, the third year, and he goes, in the third year was the charm. He goes, we will surgically reset your face. And I'm like, what do you mean by surgically reset? What? And he goes, well, we remove the bones and we reshape them, and then we'll screw them back together. I'm like, whoa. You want to cut my face off? You want to cut my face off. And he goes, well, you're making it sound much worse than it is. I'm like, no, I'm not. You're making it sound horrible. And, I was like, absolutely not. I'm sorry, I'm going. And I went to get like 5-second opinions. And the problem was, every single doctor I spoke to, they all said the exact same thing. Oh, you got that going on? You got to go see Wasserman. Ooh, it's that? Yeah, you got to go see Manny Wasserman. Oh, you got to go see Wasserman. And I'm like, no, don't say that. And the last doctor was like, why? He's the best. I go, because that's my doctor. It turned out the guy that diagnosed my face as being genetically defective and he needed to chop it off was the guy. Like, if this happens, this is who they send you to. This was the guy that they send all over the world to train people about this. And it was the worst news I could have gotten because I had no choice. Like, my face was going to get cut off. And a couple weeks later, I'm at the pharmacy because really, where else would I be? And I'm standing behind. I'll put it to you like this: if Bo Derek and Audrey Hepburn were to have somehow, some way had a daughter together, this would have been her. Like, she was breathtaking, and she never saw me. She left without ever looking at me, which was good because not only was I standing there gawking at her with a dislocated, genetically defective face, but I was also in a leg brace, back brace, neck brace, and arm sling because right after I got the news about my face, I got hit by a car. Yeah, my life was awesome. Just awesome. I mean, it was absurd. I was wearing so many braces, I looked like an extra in an 80s wacky, like, hospital comedy. And, oh my God, and even worse, I started seeing this, like, Bo Derek-y, Audrey Hepburn girl everywhere I went. It didn't matter. It was like, I'm at the coffee shop, there she is. Dry cleaners, there she is. DMV, supermarket, it didn't matter. Wherever I was, because there she was, not looking at me, and it was killing me, and it wasn't that she was beautiful, right? I mean, I'm from Los Angeles. Everyone here is beautiful. Even our bad-looking people are like the best bad-looking people around, right? It was just that she just hit that deeper thing inside. Like there was that intangible thing that made it different. The problem was all of the other things that kept hitting me. Because 7 months after I got hit by the car, I got hit by a drunk driver. All of my injuries were back, but worse, right? Because now on top of back in the neck brace, back in the leg brace, back in the back brace, and the arm sling, on top of it all, numbers. I didn't have any numbers anymore. I couldn't remember numbers. I couldn't do any simple math. I had no numbers, and it took months and months for my numbers to come. And on top of that, my right eye twitched for 6 months. It was just like endlessly twitching, right? And I don't care, how much game you have, what kind of stud you are. There is no way that you can limp up to a girl, to a woman, wearing this exoskeleton of braces, right? Look at her with a genetically defective, dislocated face and a twitchy eye and go, "Say, excuse me, but you don't know me, but I see you every." Oh, don't look in the right eye. No, not just look in the left eye. The left eye's fine. It's fine. It's look, you don't know me, but I see you everywhere. And I just wanted to say, my name is Sam, and I thought maybe I could get your number, but you're going to have to write it down because I don't actually know numbers right now. There is no way to make that approach, right? There is no way at all. And also, though, the thing was, it wasn't as if I wasn't attractive to women. I was attractive to women. And some of them really let me know how attractive I was to them. And this was how I learned about the injury fetishists. And for the first and only time in my life, some women really let me know that all they really wanted me for was my body, my broken and battered and destroyed body. And I did not take any of them up on that because I physically, I just couldn't do anything. It would have been terrible. So the thing is, by the time I got out of the body braces, right, I was a guy. I was in my 20s. I just wanted to ask this girl out, but I couldn't because I was never well enough. And by the time I got out of all the braces and I was starting to look normalish, it was time to go get my face cut off, right? And I'm lying there in the OR, and Wasserman smiles down at me and he says, "We're going to make you look perfect." And perfect, oh, sure, right? He also said, you can expect some swelling. You know what he should have said? Fire. You can expect fire. Because when they saw through bones, it sets fire to the bones, and they hate it. They don't like it. And as far as the swelling goes, Jay Leno? The Leno? Imagine Jay Leno as a Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade balloon, because that is what my head looked like. It was disgusting. I spent a week in the hospital, and I looked so bad. I was bruised and just swollen and yellow and purple and disgusting and drooling that even all the nurses got freaked out looking at me. And, and a few weeks later, I'm in Wasserman's office, and he's sitting there smiling at me going, perfect, you look perfect. And I'm like, is it perfect? This is not perfect. My face doesn't work. And it didn't. My face didn't work. It was numb. I had no muscle control. My lips didn't work. And everything I ate, I couldn't eat. Everything I drank, just drool. It was just running down my chin until my shirt got wet. And I was on a liquid diet. For 5 months. Right? And I just walked around with wet stained shirts all the time. And he goes, I understand that you're upset, but it's going to take about a year for the muscles and bone to settle. But your face is mathematically perfect. A year. a year to settle. Fine. I can stay home for a year. And I literally tried because everywhere I went, people would just look at me freaked out. And they'd be like, whoa, what is wrong with that guy's face? And it's not like I could say to them, what are you looking at? What are you looking at? My face is fine. My face is mathematically perfect. Can you say that about your face? Is your face mathematically perfect? Right? You can't. But one night, I had terrible cabin fever. Right? It was a Sunday night. It was like 10 o'clock. And I went to a coffee house. Because this was the 90s, and that's what we did. All there were coffee. We didn't have the internet. So we had to go to a real-life social place. But it was empty. It was perfect. And I'm sitting there, and I'm staring at the wall. And I've got this cold cup of coffee and a wet shirt and a wet chin. And out of nowhere, I just hear, Sam? Sam, is that you? And I'm like, oh, dear God, no. And I turn around, and it's my buddy Nick. I'm like, oh, no. And he's with her. He's with the Bo Derek, Audrey Hepburn girl. And it's just like, oh, no. And Nick looks at me and goes, dude, Jesus Christ, your face. Like, and he's just like, oh, my God. And he's like, God damn, man, what did they do to you? And he's just looking at me and he goes, oh, by the way, this is Lori. Have you ever met Lori? And I'm like, Lori, she has a name. And like for years I've been staring at this girl. It was like Venus or Aphrodite or Bo Derek. And I'm staring at her and she's staring at me. And she looks and she goes, have we met? You look kind of familiar. I'm like, oh, my God, at some point she saw me, right? And Nick's like, oh, yeah, you might have seen him, but, you wouldn't recognize him because he just got his face cut off. And now he looks like he's related to himself, but he doesn't even look like him. And nobody knows what he's going to look like anymore. And he just keeps telling her everything. And it's like this slow motion disaster just taking place. And there's nothing I can do to stop him. And I just watch her beautiful, angelic face drop as she's hearing this nightmare pour out of Nick as she's staring at me. And at the end of all of it, Nick just looks at me and says, Sam, dude, you're drooling.
Sam Firestein, everybody. Tweet him at Sam Firestein. He's got some stories to tell. Money making skills on the mic. Can be paid every day and you're part of the battle. Just bow down, better act if you know. Bow down to the crown. Everybody bow down. Everybody bow down. Everybody bow down. She's the power of the crown. Everybody bow down. Everybody bow down.
Real radio. Radio 104.1.
Now, more AD on the radio.
So I guess one of the luxuries that we have around here when we have award-winning storyteller Sam Firestein on the show, besides the luxury of having an award-winning storyteller on the show, is that we get to ask follow-up questions. When you go do your thing live, as you often do.
No hoblo.
When you do your thing live, I mean, I would imagine there's a certain amount of milling around afterwards that takes place where people go, yeah, right on, good job. When you got a card? When can I see you? Is there a flyer for your next show? Perhaps you have T-shirts or CDs to sell. When you're greeting your adoring public after a storytelling event, do you get asked the follow-up questions, or is that like a no-no in the storytelling world? No, that was my story. That's it. We're done with that now. Like, do you get that?
Yeah, I'll either get follow-up questions or people, depending on the story that I tell, or people want to come up and relate what their own experiences with a similar story is. Although with the getting your face, well, yeah,
I also got my face sawed off.
No, like nobody's come up and said, "Oh, I've also had my face sawed off." So far, that one's just been little old me. But like my like I've had a couple of different stories about getting stalked, and people come up and want to talk to me about their stalker stories, and things like that. Yeah, and I definitely get follow up questions where people like to just come up and stare into my face and try to see, what's wrong with it.
The doctor whose name has, I'm assuming, been changed. What was his exact title again?
Oh, jeez. Dentio it's like numbers I can't remember, but is a maxillofacial dentio orthopedist musculoskeletal specialist.
Holy freaking gosh.
Yeah.
So I'm not even going to bother trying to repeat it, but I have noticed.
Say it with a dislocated face, like musculoskeletal orthopedist. It's going to cut my face off.
So I have noticed. I never would have applied the term mathematical perfection to your face. Just because I didn't know what that was until today. However, in our conversations, there have been times where I've been struck by your square-jawed, master race-esque profile. You are like very, I suppose, chiseled would be a good way of describing you when you look at your face. And it all makes sense now.
God don't give the Jew a face like this. You got to go to the doctor and get all carved up.
Hey, you are one of the chosen people. I don't think that's true.
Yeah, but look at all the great things I've been chosen for. Drunk drivers, defective faces.
But I mean, like, I would say now that you pointed out, I would say that there is a certain mathematical correctness to your face. Do you think this is due to what the doctor did to you all those years ago?
Absolutely. No, it's like people will say, "Wow, your face is so symmetrical."
Yeah, which, by the way, I never knew that like, as soon as you spend about like 5-10 minutes in Hollywood and someone will bring up the symmetrical face to you, because it's this weird thing. Like I look at say men that have classically gotten women's midsection singing Sweet Virginia, like Denzel Washington or Harrison Ford. I kind of, I'm a dude and I'm not genetically drawn to whatever it is they got going on, so it's beyond my realm of understanding. But I look at them and go, it's nothing wrong with them for sure, but like I don't.
Come on, we all look at Brad Pitt and go, God damn, that's a good looking guy.
Well, no. See, this is the thing. This is my point. I can look at Brad Pitt and go, "That's a strikingly handsome man." But then I look at Denzel Washington or Harrison Ford next to a Brad Pitt and go, "Like, I don't get it. Why are women? Why is this such a big deal?" And people go, "Oh, his face is so symmetrical." I'm like, "Really? That's a thing? I never knew a symmetrical face was a thing." But apparently
that about
it is.
Harrison Ford and Denzel Washington.
That apparently their face is symmetrical, and that is why women are into them. And it works on almost a subconscious level.
If you are aerospace engineers, like
no. This is what I'm saying. It works on a subconscious level when your face is symmetrical. I guess it is a sign of incredibly strong genetics that makes you an optimum candidate for breeding and putting a baby in her. And on some sort of like primordial level that even she doesn't fully understand, when someone has a symmetrical face, they go, that would be a good individual for me to make babies with. I'm going to go talk to them. and that is apparently a thing. A symmetrical face is a big deal. I'm putting it all together now. Sam has over the years been unbelievably successful with innumerable numbers of ladies, and
I have.
It depends on how you define success, but you have when it comes to getting females to drop trow, I believe you have a stunningly impressive strike rate, and we'll talk about Tim Tebow later. I know you're only too ready and willing to unload on my beloved Mets for a certain decision they recently made.
My mom a link to this show.
But here's the thing. I think it might be your mathematically correct face that has been doing you these favors all these years. I mean, wit, charm, the ability to spin a good yarn, all these things matter.
Certainly
but
isn't
apparently,
the hundreds and hundreds of dollars I've made from storytelling. Hello, ladies. I'm 100 air with a genetically defective yet mathematically correct face.
Perfect face. See, but that's the thing. It works on it works on a subconscious level. Like that, apparently, symmetry in a face is a big deal to a female in a way that even she does not understand. And I think the same
I'm
is true for men, too.
I'm 67 years old, and I'm still single.
Well, I think you are spoiled for choice. Like, it's hard to pick one.
Man, you are
when
just
you have...
a spin doctor. You should work for a campaign the way you spin that line. Oh my God.
No. I think when life lays out for you, like one ginormous buffet, it's hard to just, go like, I'm going, look, when you go to brunch and there's every sort of food option made available to you, are you going to have just one of them? No, you are not. And as long as I've known you, you've had a buffet of options when it comes to companions of the female persuasion. And I think it's all due to your mathematically correct face. And like I said, charming and able to spin a good yarn. All these things help. Sam Firestein, we learn something new from you every single time you're here.
You're saying I'm a whore.
Haven't had much of a reason to smile. Haven't had many things go my way. Haven't had many sunny days. Haven't had many things go right. But I've had so many sleepless nights. Nothing ever seems like it will be.
Real Radio 104.1.
There's something happening here, and you should know what it is. The Dumbing Up of America. Now, more AD on the radio.
Alrighty then. Now that we're done dealing with Sam's mathematically perfect face and how it has afforded him, despite the gory and horrific way that he came upon it, we've dealt with the massive amounts of opportunities that it has afforded him in the past. Let's do a little news, shall we, Funkhauser? What is going on in the world today, and how are you?
This is My Witness News. In no way, shape, or form fair and certainly not balanced. And now, super producer to the stars, Barry Funkhauser. Barry Funkhauser.
Who?
Barry Funkhauser. Barry Funkhauser.
Intro clip produced, written, and by Barry Funkhauser.
Yes.
Funkhauser, how are you? Did you feel like you have a mathematically perfect face? Cover up one side of your face. Does it look like the other side of your face when you take your hand away?
No. I actually have a problem there. One side of my face is droopy. You got to go to the right wisdom teeth remover guy. And don't go to the low budget one because I did, and they cut my nerves, so I have a little spot that only I can see.
You got surgery on a coupon?
Yeah. No, I was just I was in a small town.
Have you ever seen that episode of King of Queens where he gets her laser eye surgery and it doesn't go right? And he's like, well, the coupon said it was good. And she's like, you got me eye surgery for... Okay.
Yeah, that's what you never do, right? Things you never want to... things that you only want to overpay for and never get on a coupon. A haircut.
Yeah, there's a couple things.
A haircut, sushi, and surgery, right?
Yeah.
Overpay for all of them. My God.
Yeah, there's some things that I don't mind getting at the
eyesight.
Some things that you don't mind getting at deep discounts and big savings, but raw fish and surgery, not some of those things.
Not going to the Costco.
So one side of your face doesn't move the way it ought to because of botched wisdom tooth surgery?
Yeah, it's like a size of a quarter right on my jaw there that I can't feel, and it's affected. I think because I look at myself all in the mirror probably every day, maybe once, and I'm like, oh man. I'm droopy on one side. That's okay. It's the side in the studio that you can't see, so that's good.
I have a deviated septum. Like one nostril is noticeably smaller than the other, and it leads to congestion and headaches and all these like things that are and people are like, just get a nose job, and I just like I don't I'm so used to being.
Is that why
me.
you're crunchy today, or is that processing?
I don't know. Probably I don't know. But he said making subtle adjustments.
Yeah, thank you.
It's the cocaine.
Like I just, people have been like, get a nose job. And first and foremost, it involves somebody purposefully breaking your nose. Second of all, like I've, not a huge fan of my face, but I've grown accustomed to it over the years. And like, it's one of those things where I don't want it to change me being me. And also the thing about like how I make my living is it's through my voice. And if you change something with your nasal passages, your voice can change as well. And I just,
can't they
have
these
decided
days
to
like
suffer
go
through the
through and
deviated
just kind of
septum.
bore out the nasal passage a little bit without having to break the nose?
You're not selling the experience, but yeah, I think that they might have moved on to that. I don't know. It's if it causes real problems later on in life, I will. But for now, I'll just deal with occasional searing pain on the right side of my head and chalk it up to that. But yeah, I do not. I know for a fact that I do not have a mathematically perfect face the way Sam does, just because one nostril noticeably smaller than the other.
But you have boyishly good looks, which go far in this world, my friend.
Well, I look forward to coasting on them as long as possible. What's going on in the news?
Well, several people passed out during a screening of a cannibal movie called Raw.
Does that make you want to see the movie more?
What, the people passed out while watching it?
Yeah.
No.
Sam?
Does that
Being a
really ever
filmmaker?
happen? It sounds fake.
I would probably give it a go to see what happens, but it reminds me of that time like 20 years ago where there was a Pokemon television show, a cartoon that aired in Japan, and they did a strobing effect in it, and all these kids got seizures from watching the cartoon.
Right.
So that night on the news, all the news stations replayed the offending piece of cartoon, and it then sent a bunch of adults to the hospital with seizures. And
That is not responsible broadcasting, as we
No.
would call it. It's would it make you want to go see this cannibal movie, Raw, to see what people are passing out from?
yeah, I go.
I got sucked into Blair Witch before I knew it was fake. I saw pre-screening. Scared the crap out of me.
I mean, I think it's probably just like some stupid marketing promotion where there's, to like drum up interest in a film probably
In the
no
film,
one cares
yeah.
about.
I don't know. If people are passing out from terror over a cannibal movie called Raw, I'd probably go just to see what's eating them. Go on.
Saturday Night Live has hired its first Latina cast member.
I saw this and it blew my mind.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Obama.
I was just like, really? In all these years? I guess, are you trying to tell me that Rosanna was just an offensive stereotype? What the hell? And it really kind of surprised me that was a first.
One black guy just doesn't cut it anymore in this 2016.
Yeah, it's very odd. You hear stuff like that and you go, maybe we do have a much longer way to go than I realize in my innate whiteness for people to have opportunities. Like, I've always felt like comedy it's a complete meritocracy. You know what I mean? Like, comedy, if you're funny, you're funny. If you make people laugh, you make people laugh. If you make people smile, if you're happy, if you make people smile and if you make them happy, if you make them feel good in some sort of way, you're going to get where you're going. And I don't know, this was a bit of an eye-opener to me that this was the first ever Latina cast member of Saturday Night Live.
Well, it was
No
also
idea.
just a couple of seasons ago where when they announced the new cast and they had no women of color, and it became a huge controversy. And then they quickly added two.
Yeah. Who I gotta say, and not. Do I not get it? Like, and not funny. Like most of the time, I just kind of don't.
Who's not funny?
I don't know names of cast members, but the people of color that they added to the show, the two women. What's the one from Ghostbusters? Sounds
Leslie
remarkably
Jones.
Leslie Jones.
Oh, bro, you are about to bring the wrath. Like, whether you're right or wrong, you're about to bring the wrath of the old internets down on you because...
No, I'm not, because I'm going to clarify this situation by going, look, a lot of people find her to be funny. I'm not one of them. Doesn't mean I don't think she should be where she is. Doesn't mean I'm going to attack her for who she is or what she's done. Comedy's a subjective thing, and I don't kind of
absolutely, and I
get
don't
it a lot of the
disagree.
time when I
But
see her.
what is not subjective or open to discussion is the old internet and the social justice warriors who will now peg you as a cisgendered white oppressive male who wants nothing to do but to keep people down and blah, 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 blah.
You're not helping. Yeah, I just don't. Has yet to make me laugh. Open to the experience, but has yet to make me laugh. I see there's a very, I found an interesting way of avoiding conflict on the internet. You don't engage. Like, it was right around the time of gay marriage and Confederate flags that the timelines of everybody absolutely exploded, and people got so dug in and spent so much time just going for it, just really, really inordinate amounts of manpower spent on disagreeing with one another on the internet. I looked at it and went, that's it. I'm out. Like, I wasn't a big practitioner of that sort of thing in the past, but I was like, no more. I'm not. And from that point on, I was like, I will never disagree with anyone on the internet ever again, because nothing positive comes of it. So I don't. If someone wants to message me privately, I'll take the time to respond to them. If they say, hey, something you said or did doesn't work well for me, then I'll do them the courtesy of responding and perhaps explaining my position, and that's that. But I don't get into public disagreement on a public forum, and it's really been a very freeing experience.
Yeah, it doesn't solve anything. It does nothing. All it is like people screaming and yelling at each other, and I don't even know where they get the time to do it. The only time I ever engage online is if something really, really important is being discussed, like how absolutely offensive and absurd it is that, like, the Mets signed Tim Tebow to a baseball contract.
Okay, all right, let's get this over with. And by the way, he said, taking the high road. Your Dodgers have put together quite the season, and I really kind of. I really have to say that I think a lot of it had to do with some of the troubles that Clayton Kershaw had. You have this ace of a pitcher that is indisputably the best at what he does, and all of a sudden you're not able to fall back on him, and I almost feel like it made the rest of your team rise to the occasion. I have to say, before you beat up on my Mets for signing Tim Tebow, I'd like to doff my cap to you and say, well done, Dodgers. I see what you did there. I appreciate it. I admire it. Except for Chase Utley, who I hope dies tomorrow in a car crash.
Oh.
Wow. Wow.
But go on.
I do have two sons, and I named them both Chase and Utley.
Right,
so
yeah.
I'm just saying. But no, the thing is, it's like, yeah, the Dodgers had to, you know what it's called? It's called heart. And when Clayton went down, these guys pulled together and really, really pulled together as a team. And I think Doc has done a great job, and Puig going away for a while, going to baseball jail for a while, did the team a lot of good in that they really, really pulled together, and they started playing as a complete unit in these pieces, these chess pieces that keep moving in and out. But that's because to their heart, like deep down within each one of these guys, they're pure baseball men. They're not just some tourist who used to play college football showing up and saying, I want to out doing a cash grab to play baseball. Because, they always talk about this Tebow as being like a great guy and a man of God and humble. And it's like, he is none of those things. He is the most arrogant guy on earth, because the entirety of the NFL, the No Fun League, has looked at this guy and said, you can't play football. We're happy to pay you millions of dollars to be a tight end or a halfback or a fullback, but you cannot throw a football. You cannot be a quarterback. You have no skills for it, and they've proven it over and over again. Like look, they will let murderers in if you have an ounce of talent.
Well,
right?
it's especially no small amount of chagrin on my part, only because I've spent the last couple of years going, you can't rifle passes directly into the dirt and then say God is on your side. It doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. And like, maybe he could throw a little bit better if he was willing to give up his pretty boy workouts that made him have enormous guns that made it physically impossible for him to throw a good spiral. And so, like, I have had. There's been no shortage of material coming from this side of the fence when it comes to running Tim Tebow down for my entertainment and the entertainment of others. So I 100% understand what you're saying. Here's the thing. I don't know if you know, you're very informed about baseball. I think you probably do. his agent is the same agent as one. He has the same agent as one Yoenis Cespedes and one Jacob deGrom. So I am hoping, as are Mets fans everywhere, that this is all part of, you want to keep him, then you got to take him type of deal.
Right, and you guys signed Tim Tebow, and Jacob deGrom goes down with an injury. You pissed off the baseball gods.
Oh,
Hope
God.
you're willing to pay that price.
Just got really cold and uncomfortable in this room. Thank you so much, award-winning storyteller Sam Firestein, I think, for joining us on the show. Oh, can open. Worms everywhere.
Beat the Mets. Come on and beat the Mets.